You are Locked On Cowboys, your daily Dallas Cowboys podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Locked on Cowboys. Locked on Cowboys.
Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for tuning in. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. You can follow me on Twitter at Marcus_Mosher. And joining me today, as always, is Landon McCool. You can check him out on Twitter at McCoolBCB. You can also listen to him on the Best Coast Boys podcast. Landon, what's going on, sir?
Oh, nothing. What's going on with you? What's how you feeling, buddy? 41 to 21 Dallas Cowboys. That's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling pretty good right now.
And you know the thing is, Landon, the game was not that close.
It wasn't.
20 points.
No.
It was not that close.
It wasn't.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the Cowboys' Week 3 victory over the Philadelphia Eagles and all of our biggest takeaways. But before we do that, just want a quick recap of this game. Dallas really dominated. At one point, Landon, the Cowboys had 19 first downs, and the Eagles had 1. The Eagles got a touchdown on a strip sack from Dak Prescott. And then that's really all that they did for a long time. Philly had one other touchdown drive. It was a 90-yard touchdown drive. They didn't score another point until late in the fourth quarter. This was just complete domination by Dallas. What were your thoughts on this one?
It was beautiful. I mean, in every sense of the way, it was a dominant performance on both sides of the ball. I mean, it was all the things that and this is, more than the other two games, it feels like, because it's the NFC East, because it's Eagles, it felt like a measuring stick. This is the kind of game in the past that the good preseason Cowboys teams would fumble, would screw up. They'd keep it a close game. They'd let Philadelphia hang around. This looks like a different team, like starting out strong, putting their foot on the throat of the opponent. Forcing punts, causing turnovers. Who is this team? What did they sneak into our rosters? It's been incredible so far, and it's been consistent. Can I just really quickly read, a selection of the first few drives and how they ended for the Philadelphia Eagles, if I could? 3 plays, interception. 3 plays, punt. 3 plays, punt. 4 plays, punt. 5 plays, punt. 3 plays, interception, 3 plays, punt. And that was when they finally, at the end of the third quarter, finally got their own touchdown on offense. Yeah. This was a dominant performance, I especially by the offense, but I think also by the defense for sure. And there's so many storylines here, starting with individual play and offensive, just complete dominance. But I think the thing that really just stood out to me, from a 10,000-foot view, is the Cowboys did the things that good teams do that this Cowboys team hasn't done in a long time, and not since 2016, or the years where Romo was really, or Dak's rookie year. I think it's been a while since the Cowboys did like this, and it looks like this could be a really good team.
All right, I'm going to do a Locked On Cowboys tradition here, Landon. I'm going to say something negative about the Cowboys, but it's actually a positive, so get ready.
I like it.
You ready?
I like it. Just like you picking the Eagles in order for them to win.
I
like
it.
Someone
said, thank you for, right here. This is a comment. It says, thank you for picking the Eagles to win, Marcus. You secured the win. You guys are welcome. I appreciate
Marcus
that.
Always sacrificing for the team, guys.
Yes.
Always sacrificing for the team.
I thought the Dallas Cowboys played like a B game in this one. They had a lot of mistakes, a lot of holding calls. There were some big mistakes they made on defense. The Eagles had some big plays. Jordan Lewis had an opportunity for an interception. They just didn't make the plays, right? There was also a couple drives that just stalled out at like the 45-yard line, and they just weren't able to pick up those drives. But it shows you just the difference in talent between the Cowboys and the rest of the NFC East, right? Like, if the Cowboys play a B or B- game against the rest of these teams in the division, they're going to win by 20 points, right? If they play an A+ game, we're looking at like a 30-point win. it's nice to see this kind of Cowboy team being back to that kind of game, right? All they have to do is basically show up and be competent, and they're going to win, right? That's what it was. That's why I'm encouraged by what I saw Monday night.
It's like they didn't have to press to win the game.
Yes.
It's like watching Tom Brady in some ways. It's like he makes it look easy at times. And Rodgers, and that's what Dak looked like. It's just like he was in such control of the outcome of the game, of such control of the offense that he didn't feel the need to press or take crazy chances. I mean, I think we could talk about some of the things that went wrong. Specifically with. He wasn't perfect. He had the fumble in the end zone, which I think maybe was a bad play call at the time for sure. And then I'm pretty sure Joey Ikes, shout out to Joey, pointed it out that he didn't motion Zeke into the backfield on that play where he was looking for a handoff. So I thought that was pretty funny. But I think overall, I mean, he showed you the command that he has over this offense, and they ran it to a T and just absolutely pummeled the Eagles defensive line. I mean, despite them getting some hits on Dak, the Cowboys offensive line just had their way with the Eagles defensive line in the run blocking sense.
Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys gave up 4 sacks in this game, and I thought Dak played a pretty good game. I would say like a B+. Landon, he finished the game with 143 passer rating and 9.2 yards per attempt.
Yeah.
Just kind of shows you like what our expectations are right now for Dak, right?
I mean, ultimately, I know the Eagles are beat up too, and they got more beat up as the game went on as well. I mean, losing Sam Alu, it's gonna be a tough road for the Eagles. Yes. If he's gone for a long time, they're already kind of depleted there, right? So, but I think that just showing you the Cowboys. I mean, we were talking about how they're going to field a team, and to get that kind of performance from players up and down this defense, and then obviously some superstar performances by our young players. I mean, what more can you say about Trayvon Diggs? What Osa? I mean, we'll
get to him. Save him.
My guys. Okay, go ahead. Yes, go ahead, please.
Last thing I wanted to just mention before we get into some of the winners and losers. I saw Mike McCarthy after the game said no injuries to report from this one.
Yes,
that's fantastic, especially considering the Cowboys have a short week here, getting ready for the Panthers in week 4. Really, really good news. All right. I want to tell you guys about BetOnline. As always, BetOnline is your number one spot for all the pro and college football action this season. I so hope that you took the Cowboys -3.5 in this game and the over. With a new updated site and interface, even more odds, props, and contests, betonline.ag continues to be the number one source for everything football. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 100% welcome bonus. That is double your initial deposit just for signing up. Don't forget to use promo code NFL100 from football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. All right, Landon, let's give out an award. Who is the MVP of this game?
The MVP. I mean, I hate to say this, guys. It's Dalton Schultz, right?
Oh, stop it. Oh, but he had a good game. There's no doubt.
Are you kidding me? He had 6 catches for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's as much of MVP. I mean, if we're not going to pick the obvious Dak, who had 4 touchdowns and was masterful, I think Dalton Schultz has an argument.
Landon.
He had twice as many catches as anybody in the game.
Landon. Trevon Diggs had a pick 6. He had 3 pass deflections.
That's fair.
He was dominant in the run game, and the Eagles could not throw on him at all at this game.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. I mean, I guess you're going to give it to a defensive player. Fine. That's fine. Yes. I mean, look, lots of play. Look, I mean, if you want to go that route, Osa had a sack and a half, in a difficult assignment, and he performed as well. I think lots of people have an argument, and I think the best thing about it is that you've got 2 young defensive players who have an argument. It just shows you. I mean, dare we speak it into existence? You may have a little something with this defense. I mean, this defense playing the way it did, as shorthanded as it is. I mean, imagine when you get. I mean, Lawrence is still a ways away, but just imagine when you get Gallimore back, or you get the opportunity to play some more with Joseph. this defense could potentially be getting better from where it is right now, and it's already incredibly good, especially in the turnover department.
I agree. There's a lot of reasons to be excited about this defense. Osa is a good one. 4 tackles, 1.5 sacks, a tackle for a loss, and 2 quarterback hits. Parsons had a really good game. I want to mention somebody else because outside of Diggs, I thought this player was incredible. Literally did not show up in the stat sheet, though, and that's Randy Gregory. Did not have a tackle, did not have a sack, did not have a quarterback hit. But if you watch that game, he dominated. Right? How many holding calls did he draw in that game, Landon? Multiple.
Destroying schemes too, like getting inside, looping inside, and just destroying their blocking scheme and freeing guys up. I think despite as much talk as some people were having, I think Micah Parsons played really well on both sides, even against Lane Johnson, calling at least one holding penalty, and I'm pretty sure he had another one that went uncalled as well.
Just really quickly on Parsons. Yeah. There were a couple plays in this game where I thought the scheme was phenomenal, but I'm trying to remember exactly the play, but I believe it was a 3rd and 11, and they lined him up right between the guard and center, and he just shot the gap, and both of them were holding him as he was going up. And they had, I think it was Osa Odigizua was on the outside basically playing defensive end. I mean, they had some weird formations and groupings out there, but Parsons he's kind of a game wrecker, right? And I think if you're calling him just an edge, I think you're kind of mislabeling him because he's a guy that can just make plays from wherever he's at.
They tried to use that offensive weapon, term a couple of years ago.
Was it a web?
No. It wasn't the Dallas. It was just like kind of a general thing that.
I thought they called Tavon a web back. Remember?
Yeah, the Cowboys did. Yeah, but okay. I remember like before that, like I think who was it? Was it Denard Robinson or someone from Michigan? Like he wanted to change his position name to like offensive weapon. It'd be OW. Anyway,
yeah.
Parsons is defensive weapon. I mean, you could call him what you want. Like you can put him anywhere in the front 7 and just have him attacking a blocking scheme, and he can destroy it.
He's good. I mean, I don't know what else we can say, right?
I think we also need to mention, if we're talking about MVPs, I mean, Ezekiel Elliott had a really great game as well.
Yeah.
On 17 carries and didn't need to like do much more than this. I mean, you look at the balance, it's still a little bit more 60-40 than 50-50 or whatever. But I think hopefully that'll get closer to 50-50 as we go on. But it's obviously a great mix.
Ezekiel Elliott had 17 carries for 95 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tony Pollard was 11 carries for 60 yards. Pollard had 1 reception for 5 yards. Zeke had 3 receptions for 21 yards. I actually felt like in this game, Landon, that was the right split. Like Zeke was running really well. And there was a couple times where, it was 3rd down and they just kind of left Zeke in there and he was really good at, driving the pocket or driving the lanes and just kind of moving guys and getting first downs. I think it's the best we've seen him play in a long time. And I as much as I love Tony Pollard, I think the split today was right. I think this is a game where you wanted to ride Zeke, and he played well.
And they targeted the tight ends. Clearly you talked about it pregame, the linebackers and how susceptible they were. And especially as they started to lose safeties as the game went on. Schultz got as many targets as Cooper and CeeDee Lamb combined.
Which we kind of thought, though, right? Because we thought the safeties and the linebackers are where Dallas can really pick on them. When we talked about this on Monday's show, right? Like, those are guys that can be exposed.
I thought that they would see more targets on the outside just because I thought that they could win there. But maybe there's more concern with Cooper. Maybe they wanted Cooper to just get a week off from taking direct hits there, or at least being the workhorse of the offense. And
it's
Schultz
also
was going to work.
Remember, I say it's also important to remember. Dak only had 26 passing attempts in this game.
Yeah.
Like, what are they? How many did they throw in week 1? Was it 58 times? Something like that. Exactly. So basically, it's like half the amount of attempts, right?
Yeah, it makes sense. They're throwing to win the game and running to seal it. And I think it was important to make. We talked about too that they played a lot of palms, a lot of 2 safety looks. They were trying to keep everything short. So there wasn't a ton of opportunity for the guys on the outside because they were basically using the guys on the outside to create cushion underneath for Schultz and create safe opportunities for the tight ends. So I think that worked. And also, again, after years and years of complaining about the tight end screen, this team has suddenly become really, really good at it. And I think I love when it's being called too. Like instead of like the give up play that we used to see it being called on like 3rd and 15, it's a 3rd and 5 play where it's going to work. You're going to get the first down.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, Dalton Schultz has a really good feel for how to run that, right? Like, he's good enough as a blocker to hold the block just long enough to get the defensive end upfield, and then he spins out of it, and he's pretty decent in the open field. I mean, I know you were kind of being serious about Dalton Schultz as the MVP of this game, but he did another nice game.
I was being serious. I thought he put a fantastic game. I'll tell you who else should be considered for MVP is fullback 1, Connor McGovern. I can't believe we've gotten this far without mentioning Connor McGovern, my brand new fullback Bo. I love it. It's just awesome to see him out there being utilized. That they wanted, it's clear that they wanted to use him. I think this is an interesting way to do that, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Cowboys think he's a good player. So it is nice to at least have him involved in the game plan. Like, he's active every single week, and you're keeping him, kind of fresh and in these games. So I do like that. We're going to get to some more of our biggest takeaways from this game. But before we do that, I want to tell you guys about rockauto.com. It's a family business serving auto parts to customers online for over 20 years. They have everything from engine control modules and brake parts, motor oil, and even new carpet. Whether it's for your classic or your daily driver, get everything you need in a few easy clicks delivered directly to your door. The rockauto.com catalog is unique and remarkably easy to navigate. Quickly see all the parts available for your vehicle and choose the brand, specifications, and prices that you prefer. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck, right locked on in the How Did You Hear About Us box, so they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit rockauto.com today. All right, Landon, a couple more things about this team. After 3 games, where are your expectations at for the Cowboys now? Because I think you and I both agree they're not quite probably in the Rams Tampa Bay tier, even though they were close to Tampa Bay in week 1. Where do you see this team fitting in the NFC?
I think they're right there. I think that they're probably, there's that top tier, and I think that they're dealing with a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting to see, I think they certainly can get there, because the season is long. This is a very young team. That's the other thing to consider, is that this is a very young team, and it's going to get better as the season goes on. And I think if they can get some more health, the experience that some of these younger guys have gotten while trying to, make up for guys like DeMarcus Lawrence and La'el Collins and Michael Gallup, the experience that these guys are getting while playing is also going to pay off later in the season too, by the time they get there, and because it's a long season. So that's just going to make your team stronger. And I think, if you're able to get Joseph into the mix and then upgrade the cornerback position, you're going to bring Gallimore in, you're going to upgrade a defensive tackle position, which suddenly is looking, almost bountiful. I mean, especially if you can get Tristan Hill in here and get anything out of him, it's like, we'll see. And so I think that there is a lot of reason to be very optimistic through 3 games, because you've got a clear win over the team that you feel like may have been the best looking other team in the NFC. We'll see what Washington can produce.
Okay, let me just re-ask you that. After 3 weeks, who's the next best team in this division? I so wish you were doing the crossover shows with the NFC East teams again. I so wish you would have waited 3 weeks.
Guys, make sure you tune in for the having to be re-recorded NFC East Ultimate Preview, because I was this level of cocky then too. So I think the Cowboys are clearly the class of this division. They we'll see what happens when they play Washington, but I think clearly at this point, you've got playoffs should not be the goal at all. Like you should be setting your sights for making the NFC Championship game, and then what happens from there. That's where I think you should be, because I think there's the Rams and the Buccaneers, and I think you're in that next group with anybody else that wants to play.
Right. All right, I got a question here from somebody from Eric. He wants to know, we dominated, but what can we do about the center position? Because Tyler Biadasz did not have a good game today. Now, in fairness to him, his first couple matchups this season have been rough ones, right? Vita Vea,
seriously.
Ndamukong Suh, Fletcher Cox, Jaron Hargrave. Are you getting concerned about the center position for the Cowboys?
It's not been great. I hoped that Biotish would be a little bit more solid. I mean, the problem is in one-on-one pass pro when they're able to isolate him in pass protection with big, strong defensive tackles who can pass rush.
Just can't anchor.
Yeah, it's not like there's a ton of these guys in the league, to be honest. So it's just the Cowboys have run into several of them so far. So
and they'll see one next week. And Derek Brown, who you
that's
happen
absolutely
to know
true
about, right?
Yeah, and he's not fun being on the other side. I imagine. I haven't tried it yet, but I didn't like. I'm sure I'm not going to like it. So I think look, I think the center position is a position that you can really help with some solid guard play. The problem is that Connor Williams had his hands at three different points, his hands full of Fletcher Cox. Mm-hmm. So I think they were trying to avoid Zach Martin. They were isolating Walt Williams and then attacking Biotish. And I think if you have the horses to do it, it's going to be kind of a dangerous tread for the Cowboys, but it's also not something that the Cowboys can't avoid. Clearly, they managed to survive it tonight. And tonight you face as good as an interior defensive duo as you're going to face, I think, probably for the rest of the year.
Now, I think the hope is Biotish is still a fairly young player, right? He doesn't even have 16 career starts under his belt. So I think the hope is that as he grows and kind of learns the position, he gets better there. I also think once Lyle Collins returns, assuming he does return after he stops bribing people, you don't have to spend as much resources trying to protect Terrence Steele, right? You don't need to have a tight end over there, and you don't need Zach Martin to be helping Terrence Steele as much, or Lyle Collins. So there are some reasons to be optimistic, but it is hard to watch the offensive line now and not point out him as by far their biggest weakness, right?
I think Terrence Steele struggled a little bit more tonight than he did previously at times. But I also think that's why you're trying to see kind of a more balanced game plan, is to keep the defensive lineman guessing and to give the opportunity for the offensive line to kind of just still maintain that benefit of surprise at the snap. So but I think that situation is going to get better. I think Biotish will get better, and I think eventually Terrence Steele will either get replaced by Lyle Collins or get better himself.
Did you see the one rep where Cedric Wilson was in pass protecting on Josh Sweat? Did you see this play?
I did not.
You're gonna have to go back and watch it. It's really fun.
I will, obviously.
There was a play where Dalton Schultz was lined up one-on-one with Josh Sweat, and he basically took the inside, and Sweat was running around the corner, and I don't know what Wilson was doing. He was in the backfield like as a running back, and he actually came up and knocked Sweat right on the ground, right behind Dak. So it was pretty incredible. So the Cowboys have wide receivers in pass protection now, just to show you where they're at. So
some level of creativity happening on this team. That is, I love that fake screen to CD turnaround toss screen to Zeke that they did at one point. That was really awesome. Like, they did a lot of really cool stuff. It's just the downside of doing some of that stuff is then every once in a while Dak's going to forget to
motion a guy
tap
back
tap his foot and tell Zeke to get in the backfield. And if you watch that, Zeke was like, wait, what happened? It's just it was such a level of what happened.
I thought Kellen had a fantastic game today. There was a couple plays where they maybe were a tiny bit too aggressive, but I'm just not going to fault an offensive coordinator ever by being aggressive. I know people want us to talk about the timeout situation at halftime. Honestly, you guys you're way overblowing this. People on Twitter just want to kill McCarthy to kill Mike McCarthy, but I think you and I saw this the same way, right? If you're going to take a timeout, the way to take the timeout is before the third down play, right? But it was because there was so much time left in the game. I think
didn't
McCarthy,
want to give the offense.
They didn't want to give the offense an extra time, so they waited, and on third down, they got to they made it a 4th and 5 from midfield. And I think McCarthy's like, you know what? If the worst case scenario here is I don't use a timeout and we just go into halftime up 13, I'm good with that. I don't want to give them an extra field goal, right?
That's exactly it. Is that it? To me, it was like the risk versus reward of, okay, I got to make sure that I could take the gambit of taking these timeouts, potentially giving them another opportunity to get the first down and put themselves in a position to score when they're getting the ball. I mean, the whole thing to remember is that the Philadelphia was getting the ball back in the second half.
Exactly.
Go in with a 13-point lead. Like, that is the thing to protect. It's not about being conservative. It's about just playing the odds.
Well, and the other thing is, like, okay, use time. Let's say you do use time out there and Philly punts. They're probably pitting you inside the 10-yard line anyways, right? And you've already turned the ball over once, at the goal line. You'd have to go a long ways to kick a field goal. There's just so many bad things that could happen. I think McCarthy's like, we dominated the first half. Let's just settle down. It's not that big of a deal. You can criticize him for not taking a timeout early on the drive, but I don't get the outrage for the third down, fourth down thing.
You're the better team. You're the more talented team. You knew that at that point. So I think you don't take the risk. I understand, like, the thought process, but this was not end of the game timeout mechanics. This was end of the half, and the fact that you had the 13-point lead, and the fact that they were getting the football back. So you just didn't want them to be able to double dip and erase your score, erase your difference. So you just gave them.
Remember, they had 3 timeouts left. Like, if you would have given them an extra timeout, I think they really thought about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you would have given them a 4th timeout. If you had called timeout there and it was long, but they still, they almost got it. Like,
they almost got it. It would have been 4th and 5.
So, I mean, the thing is that, like, we spent already too long on this, but I think it's not so cut and dry as people are making it.
If that's at the end of the game and Dallas needs time to go down and win the game, that's a totally different situation. But I want to stop talking about that because it's dumb. Can I just give them credit for a play that they did call? And listen, Landon, you and I have talked about this coaching staff. They're going to default to being aggressive at all times, right? They want to go out and win games rather than trying not to lose like previous administrations, right? Landon, they had a 4th and goal from the 2-yard line. They were up 14 to 27. Cowboys could easily kick the short field goal and went up 30-14, probably ending the game. But that's not what they did. They went and tried to score the touchdown because they knew going up 34-14 ends that game. And what did they do? Dak found Cedric Wilson in the back of the end zone, and it was over. That's what I love about this coaching staff, being aggressive that way to end games and to win games. That's just a great sign for this team going forward. I just wanted to mention that little series there.
Beyond the point that it's the smart way to be aggressive, it strategically makes sense because at that point, they cannot run the football down at 34-14 at that point in the game. Like, so you've basically taken away their ability to be balanced, and their ability to be balanced is the only way that they're moving the football.
Yes.
So they cannot be a passing. They're not. Their offense is just not there yet, and their offensive line just was not prepared for that. So, you basically made it a situation where they were having to throw to win the game, and that put your defense in an even more advantageous situation. So it was an absolute. You scored to win the game situation.
And on top of that, the strategy makes sense, but emotionally, for the team, I think it makes so much sense. Right? Basically, you're telling Dak,
trust.
We trust you to go out and make these plays. We want you guys to win it rather than not to lose it. I think that's something that the Cowboys have lacked over the last decade. I really do. I think when they got in some of these big moments, they were scared to death to make a mistake and to make a play. And I just don't get the sense with this team at all. I really don't.
You don't just pull a killer instinct out of the hat when you need it. You have to develop it. Right. And in these situations, you have to kill. You have to kill the weakened opponent when they're laying on the ground and to finish this. These metaphors are very brutal, but I mean that's what you need to do. Football's a brutal game, and when you have an opponent down like this, if you want to win it in January, in February, if you get lucky, you have to kill the easy prey when it's down and it's out of this misery.
Yeah. Again, fantastic win for the Cowboys. They sit at 2-1 on the season, a full game lead, actually 1.5 games up over everybody in the division right now. Fantastic job by Dallas to close out a game on Monday Night Football and just to dominate. So that is it for today's show. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back on Wednesday think we're going to try to do some Twitter questions and some film review. We've got a crossover podcast coming up on Thursday or Friday. Landon and I will do a Panther preview. Man, it's going to be a busy week here in the Locked On Cowboys podcast. You're going to want to be subscribing to the show, checking us out on YouTube. You can follow Landon at McCool BCB. You can follow me at Marcus_Mosher. Enjoy your Victory Tuesday. We'll see you guys.